The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the holographic display showed another star system vanishing into the mysterious quantum anomaly. The massive room, with its high crystal ceilings and floating platforms, held representatives from over 50 advanced civilizations. Yet none of them seemed eager to speak up. High Counselor Robert watched the replay for the third time. His old eyes narrowed as he studied the purple-black void that seemed to eat away at reality itself. In his 30 years representing Earth, he had never seen the Council this quiet. "That makes it the 5th system this month," announced First Speaker Davis, her voice echoing through the chamber. She stood at the central platform, her white robes gleaming under the artificial lights. "The anomaly is growing faster than our initial predictions suggested." A tall, blue-skinned representative from the warrior race stood up. "Then we must attack. Send in our greatest warships to destroy this threat." His scales flickered with aggressive patterns. Davis shook her head slowly. The last battle fleet that approached the anomaly disappeared without a trace. Their weapons had no effect. She gestured to the hologram, which now showed the failed military attempt. "We need to understand what we're dealing with before we can fight it." "Understanding," sneered another alien representative, this one covered in metallic plates. The last research vessel that went close enough to gather data was torn apart at the atomic level. No race is foolish enough to risk their scientists on such a suicide mission. Robert watched the debate unfold, noting how each species found reasons not to volunteer. The warrior races claimed it was not a glorious enough death. The highly advanced races declared it beneath their dignity to risk their precious minds. The peaceful races simply stated they had no expertise in such dangerous matters. As the arguments continued, Robert noticed something interesting. None of the species were asking humans to help. In fact, they rarely did. Humanity was considered the coward race of the galaxy. Their ships had too many safety features. Their spacesuits had too many backup systems. They insisted on countless safety protocols that other races found ridiculous. A small smile crossed Robert's face as he stood up. The movement caught Davis's attention, and she nodded for him to speak. "Earth will investigate the anomaly," he said simply. The chamber erupted in laughter. The blue-skinned warrior actually fell off his platform, his scales now showing patterns of amusement. "The humans," chortled the metallic representative. "You'll probably spend 6 months just doing safety checks." Robert's smile didn't waver. 8 months, actually. We've already started the preliminary risk assessments when the first system was lost." That stopped the laughter. Davis leaned forward, her expression curious. "You've been preparing all this time?" "Of course," Robert replied. "Standard human protocol is to begin safety preparations the moment a potential threat is identified. We have a research vessel, the Cautious Endeavor, being retrofitted with additional protection systems. The crew has been running simulations for weeks." The warrior representative snorted. "Typical human overcaution. While you were playing your safety games, real warriors died facing the threat." "Yes," Robert said quietly. "And we learned from each of those losses. Every failed attempt taught us something new about the anomaly. Our ships now have shields specifically designed to counter the effects we've observed." Davis raised her hand for silence as more arguments broke out. She studied Robert for a long moment before speaking. "The Council accepts Earth's offer to investigate the anomaly. Though I must ask, why are you willing to risk this mission when braver races are not?" Robert straightened his back, his voice firm. "Because bravery isn't about lacking fear or ignoring danger. True courage is facing a threat after you've understood its full scope. Humans aren't volunteering because we're unafraid. We're volunteering because we're the only ones who have spent enough time being afraid to figure out how to survive this." As he sat down, Robert could hear the confused murmurs around him. The other races might not understand the human approach yet, but they would. Sometimes, he thought, it takes a race of cowards to do what the brave cannot. The fate of the galaxy now rested in the hands of the most cautious species in known space, and Robert couldn't think of anyone better suited for the job. The cautious endeavor lived up to its name. Captain Bill walked through the ship's corridors, watching his crew run their 15th safety drill of the day. Other species might have found this excessive, but not humans. Not when they were about to face something that had already destroyed 5 star systems. "Captain to the bridge," the ship's computer announced. "Observer Gray requests your presence." Bill sighed. The Council had insisted on sending alien observers to watch their mission. Currently, 3 representatives were stationed on his ship, and they hadn't stopped complaining about human procedures since they came aboard. When he reached the bridge, Observer Gray, a tall being with metallic skin, stood by the main viewport. "Captain, we've been in orbit around this moon for 3 days. When are we actually going to approach the anomaly?" "When we're ready," Bill replied simply. He moved to his command chair and checked the latest safety reports on his screen. "Engineer Tom, how's the shield testing going?" Tom's voice came through the comm system. "Final calibration's almost complete, Captain. Just triple-checking the backup generators." Observer Gray made a sound like grinding gears, their version of an annoyed sigh. "Triple-checking. The main generator works perfectly fine." "That's what the battle fleet fought too," Bill said quietly. "They had working generators right up until they didn't. We're not making the same mistake." The second observer, the bird-like creature named Swift, ruffled its feathers. "Your species wastes so much time on these precautions. In the time you've spent preparing, the anomaly has consumed half of another system. Better half a system now than all of them later because we rushed in unprepared," said Jane, the ship's science officer. She was running yet another sensor scan of the anomaly from their safe distance. "Captain, you should see this latest data." Bill walked to her station. The screen showed complex energy patterns that hadn't been visible in previous scans. "We're picking this up even from here. The new sensors Tom installed are working better than expected," Jane explained. "The anomaly's energy signature has patterns. It's not random destruction. There's something almost organized about it." The third observer, a crystalline being called Clear, floated closer. "Impossible. The warrior fleets saw nothing like this when they attacked." "The warrior fleets weren't looking," Jane said. "They were too busy trying to shoot at it. We've spent 3 days just watching and measuring. Sometimes the best way to understand something is to be patient." Bill nodded and opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. Begin final preparation sequence. All departments report readiness status." One by one, the ship's departments called in. "Engineering ready. All systems triple-checked. Medical bay ready. All emergency protocols in place. Science stations ready. All sensors calibrated. Security ready. Emergency escape routes confirmed. Life support ready. Backup systems fully charged." Observer Gray watched this process with obvious frustration. All this checking and double-checking. How do humans ever get anything done? "We get things done right," Bill answered. "Computer, begin approach sequence alpha. Minimal speed, maximum sensor coverage." The cautious endeavor moved forward slowly, its numerous sensors gathering data with every meter. The bridge crew worked quietly, each focused on their tasks. Every few minutes, someone would call out a safety check, and others would verify it. "This is painful to watch," Swift complained. "At this rate, we'll reach the anomaly next year." Just then, Jane's console lit up with warnings. "Captain, massive energy spike ahead." "Full stop," Bill ordered calmly. "Analysis. Some kind of quantum surge," Jane reported. "If we'd been moving at standard approach speed, we would have flown right into it. The energy levels, they would have torn through standard shields instantly." The observers fell silent, their earlier mockery forgotten as they watched the energy surge fade away on the main screen. It had been completely invisible until Jane's extra-sensitive sensors detected it. "Still think we're too cautious?" Bill asked quietly. Nobody answered. The cautious endeavor hung in space, its crew continuing their careful approach. They might be slow, they might be cautious, but they were still alive. And in space, that counted for everything. "Resume approach sequence," Bill ordered. "Keep all sensors at maximum. We're going to solve this mystery, but we're going to do it the human way. Carefully, thoroughly, and safely." The purple-black void of the anomaly filled the main view screen of the cautious Endeavour. After 2 weeks of careful approach, they were closer than any other ship had ever gotten, and survived. "Energy readings are off the charts," Jane said from her science station. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel as she adjusted the sensors. "But there's a pattern to it. Something we couldn't see from far away." Observer Gray stood behind her, his metallic skin reflecting the purple light from the screen. "Impossible. Our best scientists said this was just random quantum destruction." "Your best scientists didn't look long enough." Tom's voice came through the comm system from engineering. "Captain, those backup sensors we installed are picking up something else. It's like pulses, regular pulses." Bill leaned forward in his captain's chair. "Show me." The main screen split, showing the normal view of the anomaly on one side and a wave pattern on the other. The waves rose and fell in a steady rhythm. "It reminds me of something," Jane said slowly. Her eyes widened. "Captain, it's similar to brain wave patterns." Observer Swift made a harsh laughing sound. "Brain waves? From a space anomaly. Now the humans are not just cowardly, but crazy too." But Bill wasn't listening to the mockery anymore. "Medical Officer Mary, what do you think?" Mary had been quiet until now, studying her own readings. "Jane's right. These patterns, they're like nothing I've seen before, but they follow biological rhythms. This isn't just an anomaly. It might be alive." The bridge fell silent. Even the alien observers stopped their usual complaints. "If it's alive," Bill said carefully, "then maybe it can communicate. Maybe it's trying to already." Tom's voice came through again. "Captain, permission to try something. I can modify our shield frequencies to match those pulses. Maybe it will notice us." "Make it so," Bill ordered. "But slowly, and keep all safety protocols active." Observer Clear's crystalline form sparkled with agitation. "This is foolish. You're going to get us all killed." "We're going to make first contact," Bill corrected. "The safe way." The ship's shields began to pulse, matching the rhythm they'd detected from the anomaly. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then Jane's console lit up with alerts. "The anomaly's changing," she called out. "It's responding." The massive purple-black void shifted, its edges becoming more defined. The random energy patterns they'd seen before began to organize themselves. "All hands, braced for possible contact," Bill announced through the ship-wide comm. "Backup shields ready. Emergency systems on standby." Observer Gray made a scoffing noise, always with the backups and emergencies. He was cut off as the ship suddenly shuddered. A beam of purple light shot from the anomaly, hitting their shields. "Shields holding," Tom reported. "The backup systems are handling the load. Primary systems at 80%, secondary at 90%. "The beam," Jane said in wonder. "Captain, it's not attacking us. It's scanning us. And there's a pattern in it. Like language." Mary's voice was excited. "The biological patterns are getting stronger. This thing, whatever it is, it's definitely alive. And it's trying to talk to us." Bill smiled slightly. "It looks like being careful paid off. If we'd rushed in like the warrior fleets, we'd never have noticed the patterns. If we didn't have Tom's extra sensors, we'd have missed the pulses. If we hadn't taken our time, we would be dead." Observer Swift finished quietly. Like all the others, the purple beam continued its gentle scan of their ship. The bridge crew worked steadily, gathering data, maintaining shields, keeping their systems stable. No one was laughing at their caution now. "Begin recording all frequencies," Bill ordered. "Every scan, every pulse, every pattern. If this entity is trying to communicate, we need to understand what it's saying." He paused, then added, "And keep those shields up. First contact is amazing, but let's stay alive to tell about it." The cautious Endeavour hung in space, its human crew doing what they did best, being careful, being thorough, and most importantly, being alive to solve the mystery that had baffled the galaxy. 3 hours had passed since the purple beam first touched the cautious Endeavour. The ship's computers worked nonstop, trying to decode the strange patterns hidden in the light. Captain Bill hadn't left his chair, watching every piece of new information appear on his screen. "Captain," Jane called out suddenly, "the computers found something. The patterns. They're forming words." The main screen flickered, and strange symbols began to appear. Slowly, the ship's translation program began converting them into readable text. "Help, trapped, pain," Bill read aloud. "It's asking for help." Observer Gray's metallic skin rippled with disbelief. "The great destroyer of star systems is asking for help." Mary spoke up from her medical station. "The biological readings make sense now. This entity, whatever it is, it's in distress. The destruction we've seen, it might not be intentional." More symbols appeared on the screen. The translation came through clearer this time. "Guardians, lost control. Systems malfunction. Help." "Guardians?" Observer Swift chirped nervously. "What does it mean by guardians?" Tom's voice came through from engineering. "Captain, I've been analyzing the energy patterns. They're similar to ancient power signatures we found in abandoned star systems. The really old ones, from before any of our civilizations existed." Bill leaned forward. "You think this entity is from that time?" "It would explain a lot," Jane added. "The quantum technology we've detected, it's far beyond anything we have. This beam might be millions of years old." The purple beam pulsed again, stronger this time. The ship's shields held firm, thanks to Tom's redundant systems. New words appeared. "Containment systems failing. Cannot control. Destroying. Not want to destroy. It's trapped in its own systems," Bill said slowly. "Like a pilot stuck in a malfunctioning ship. The destruction we've seen. It's like a massive engine in overdrive, with no way to shut it down." Observer Clear's crystalline form vibrated with excitement. "Then the warrior fleet's attacking it." "Only made things worse," Bill finished. "They were fighting something that wasn't trying to fight back. It needed engineers, not soldiers." The entity's next message confirmed their theory. "Help, repair, ancient systems failing. Cannot stop." "Captain," Tom called out, "I think I understand what's happening. The entity's containment field is degrading. It's like a reactor losing its shielding, but on a massive scale. When it passes near star systems, the uncontrolled energy release tears them apart." Bill turned to his crew. "Options. We could try to stabilize its containment field," Tom suggested. "The principles should be similar to our shield technology, just bigger, much bigger." "And if we make a mistake?" Observer Gray asked. "Then we'll probably be the 6th star system it destroys," Jane said quietly. "But if we do nothing, it'll keep destroying systems anyway." Bill stood up, looking at the massive purple-black form on the view screen. "Send a message back. Tell it we understand, and we want to help. Ask it for any information it can give us about its systems." The entity's response came quickly, careful, dangerous. "Many tried, failed." "We know it's dangerous," Bill replied, smiling slightly. "That's why we came prepared." He opened a ship-wide channel. "All hands, this is the captain. We've made first contact with an ancient guardian entity trapped in its own malfunctioning systems. We're going to help it. Yes, it's dangerous. Yes, it might kill us all. But we're human, and that means we're going to do this the right way. Carefully, safely, and with every possible precaution." He looked at the alien observers. "Still think we're cowards?" Observer Swift ruffled its feathers. I think I'm starting to understand why your species survived long enough to reach the stars. The entity sent another message. Grateful, careful ones, hope. Tom, Bill called out. Begin analyzing those containment systems. Jane, keep working on translations. Mary, monitor those biological patterns. Everyone else, full safety protocols. Let's show the galaxy how humans handle first contact. The cautious Endeavor's crew got to work, their careful nature now revealed as their greatest strength. They had solved half the mystery. Now, they just had to survive fixing it. Shield synchronization at 85%, Tom reported from engineering. 2 days had passed since they discovered the truth about the ancient guardian entity. The cautious Endeavor's crew had worked non-stop, preparing for their rescue attempt. Backup systems. Bill asked from his captain's chair. Triple-checked and ready, Tom replied. Primary, secondary, and emergency shields are all prepared for power transfer. Observer Gray watched the humans work, his metallic skin reflecting the purple light from the anomaly. You're really going through with this crazy plan. Would you prefer we leave an ancient guardian entity trapped and destroying star systems? Bill asked calmly. He turned to his science officer. Jane, status report. Translation matrix is complete, she said. We can now understand 90% of its communications. The entity has provided us with detailed schematics of its containment systems. Mary spoke up from her medical station. The entity's life signs are stable but stressed. The sooner we act, the better. Bill nodded and opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, this is the captain. We're about to attempt the rescue operation. Everyone to their emergency stations. This is what we've trained for. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. They had run this drill 20 times in the past 2 days. Every person knew exactly what to do. Beginning power transfer sequence. Tom announced. Routing energy through main deflector. The ship hummed as its systems powered up. On the main screen, streams of energy flowed from the cautious Endeavor toward the entity's containment field. Field stability increasing, Jane reported. The entity's energy patterns are becoming more organized. Observer Swift watched in amazement. It's actually working. Don't celebrate yet, Bill warned. Tom, how are our shields holding? Strain on primary shields at 60%, Tom replied. Switching to secondary shields. Now. The ship shuddered slightly as the power transfer continued. The entity's massive form began to pulse with a steady rhythm. New message coming in, Jane called out. The entity says its primary systems are responding. It's regaining control. But then alarms blared across the bridge. Power spike, Tom shouted. The entity's containment field is fluctuating. Switching to emergency shields, Bill ordered calmly. Mary, life sign readings. The entity is in distress, Mary reported. The sudden change is causing it pain. Observer Clear's crystalline form trembled. We should retreat. We're too close. No, Bill said firmly. We prepared for this. Tom, activate the backup power regulators. Activating now, Tom confirmed. Power flow stabilizing. Containment field steadying. The ship's emergency shields glowed brightly as they handled the strain. Other ships would have been torn apart, but the cautious Endeavor's multiple backup systems held firm. The entity is sending a new message, Jane announced. Almost free. Maintain connection. Please. Bill gripped his chair's armrests. Keep the power flow steady. Route everything we can spare through the deflector. Minutes passed like hours as the crew worked. Warning lights flashed, systems strained, but the humans remained focused and calm. Finally, Jane's console lit up with good news. Captain, the entity's containment field is self-sustaining. It's regaining full control. The purple-black void before them began to change. Its chaotic edges smoothed out. Its violent energy pulses became steady waves. Slowly, a form emerged, something ancient and beautiful, like a living star. "Message incoming," Jane said, her voice filled with awe. "Free. Thank you, careful ones." The alien observers stood in stunned silence. The humans' careful approach, their backup systems, their endless safety protocols. Everything they had mocked had just saved an ancient guardian of the galaxy. "All stations, status report," Bill called out, still not ready to relax. "All shields holding. Power systems stable. Life support nominal. Entity's life signs strong and steady." Bill finally allowed himself a small smile. "Send a message back to the entity. Tell it welcome back to the galaxy. And maybe ask it what a guardian actually guards." The entity's response came quickly. "Much to tell, much to teach. To the careful ones who understand the value of patience." The bridge crew shared knowing looks. Sometimes being called the cowards of the galaxy wasn't such a bad thing after all. The cautious Endeavor's bridge was silent as everyone watched the transformed entity. Where once there had been a chaotic purple-black void, now floated a being of pure light. Its form shifted between shapes, sometimes like a vast crystal, sometimes like a living star, always beautiful. "Recording everything," Jane said softly from her science station. "I've never seen energy patterns like these." The entity's message appeared on their screens. "Long ago, we were many, the guardians, watchers of young races, protectors of growing worlds." "What happened to the others?" Bill asked. "Time, sleep, forgot our purpose." The entity's reply came with a pulse of sadness. "I stayed awake too long. Systems failed. Could not rest. Could not think. Until the careful ones came." Observer Gray stepped forward, his metallic skin reflecting the entity's light. "Our greatest warriors attacked you. Our best scientists studied you. Why did you choose to talk to these humans?" The entity's form sparkled. "Others attacked. Others ran. Others watched. Only the careful ones listened." "Message incoming from Galactic Council," Tom reported from his station. "They're demanding an update. The other races are getting nervous seeing the entity's new form." Bill smiled. "Send them the full report. Let them see how human caution saved the day." "Captain," Mary called from medical. "The entity's life signs are stronger than ever. Whatever was hurting it before, it's healing now." New words flowed across their screens. "Must share knowledge. Must teach. The careful ones understand. The careful ones are ready." Observer Swift ruffled its feathers. "Ready for what?" "To learn the old ways," the entity responded. "To become new guardians. To protect, not destroy." The bridge crew looked at each other in surprise. Bill leaned forward in his chair. "You want to teach us? Why humans?" The entity's light pulsed gently. "You plan. You prepare. You think before acting. Like the old ones did. Like guardians must." Observer Clear's crystalline form sparkled with agitation. "But they're the most primitive spacefaring race in the Council. Their ships are slow. Their weapons are weak. They spend more time checking safety systems than exploring." "Yes," the entity agreed. "Wise like children who look before crossing paths. Strong like builders who check each stone. Brave like healers who study before cutting." Tom's voice came through the comm. "Captain, you should see these readings. The entity's sharing technical data with our computers. This is incredible. The things we could learn. Safe knowledge for careful hands." The entity said, "Better slow wisdom than fast destruction." Bill stood up and walked to the main viewport. The entity's light made patterns in space. Beautiful and complex. "You're really choosing us. Because we're careful. Because you understand. Power without wisdom brings death. Knowledge without care brings pain. You know this. You show this. You live this." The alien observers watched in stunned silence as the entity began sharing more of its ancient knowledge with the ship's computers. The race they had mocked as cowards was being chosen to learn the secrets of the galaxy's first guardians. Council's responding to our report, Jane announced. They're calling for an emergency session. They want us to bring the entity to the council chamber. The entity's next message came quickly. We'll go. We'll show. We'll teach all who learn to be careful. But trust the careful ones to lead the way. Bill turned to his crew. Well, you heard the ancient guardian entity. Plot a careful course to the council chamber. Run all safety checks. Prepare all backup systems. He smiled at the alien observers. Unless you think we're being too cautious. Observer Gray shook his head slowly. No, Captain. For the first time, I think I understand. Your caution isn't cowardice. It's wisdom. The wisdom of the Guardians, the entity agreed. The wisdom that the galaxy must learn again. The cautious endeavor began its journey back to the Council, carrying with it an ancient being of power and knowledge. The humans' reputation might change after this, but their careful nature never would. And that, it seemed, was exactly what the galaxy needed. The great chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so full. Representatives from every spacefaring race crowded the floating platforms, all eyes fixed on the being of light hovering in the center of the room. The cautious Endeavor's crew stood on a platform near the entity, with Captain Bill and his team facing the council. First Speaker Davis stood at her podium, her white robes now seeming dull compared to the entity's glow. Let me understand this clearly, she said. This ancient guardian being, one of the first protectors of our galaxy, has chosen to share its knowledge with humans. Because they are wise, the entity's words appeared in the air, visible to all. Because they understand the true meaning of power. The blue-skinned warrior representative stood up. But they're cowards. They spend more time checking safety protocols than fighting. Yes, the entity agreed, its light pulsing gently, like the old Guardians did. Power without control destroys. Knowledge without care kills. The humans remember what older races forgot. Tom stepped forward, holding a datapad. The technical knowledge the entity has shared with us. It's beyond anything we've ever seen. But it all comes with warnings, with safety measures, with careful instructions. Of course it does, Bill added. Real power isn't about being able to destroy things. It's about knowing when not to. The entity's form shifted, creating patterns of light that danced through the chamber. Show them, it instructed. Jane activated a holographic display, showing the entity's rescue. The Council watched as the cautious Endeavor's multiple backup systems, careful approach, and patient methodology saved the ancient being. Other races attacked with great ships. The entity's words flowed. Humans came with great care. Other races sought to destroy the threat. Humans sought to understand it. This is the way of Guardians. Observer Gray, who had watched it all happen, stepped forward. I used to think human caution was weakness, but I saw them save this being when our greatest warriors couldn't, when our brightest minds failed. They succeeded because they were careful, not in spite of it. The entity's next words appeared larger, brighter. The humans will teach. All who wish to learn the old ways must learn from them first. Safety before power. Understanding before action. This is the Guardian way. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The idea of learning from humans, the youngest, most cautious race, seemed to challenge everything the other species believed. And if we refuse, ask a representative from a highly advanced race. If we choose not to learn from these cautious ones, the entity's light dimmed slightly, then you will not learn at all. The old knowledge is too dangerous for those who rush, too powerful for those who do not plan. The humans will teach because they understand the price of mistakes. Bill looked around the chamber, at all the races that had once mocked human caution. We're willing to teach anyone who wants to learn, but we'll do it our way, carefully, safely, with every precaution. The way of the Guardians, the entity agreed. First Speaker Davis raised her hands for silence. Then let it be recorded. From this day forward, the human approach to space exploration and technological advancement will be respected, not ridiculed. Their caution will be seen as wisdom, not weakness. The entity's final message glowed brightly. The galaxy turns again. The careful ones rise. The guardian way returns. Through human hands, ancient wisdom lives once more. As the council session ended, Bill and his crew returned to their ship. The entity would stay at the council for now, teaching those who were ready to learn patience and caution. Quite a change, Tom said as they walked through the cautious Endeavor's corridors. From galaxy's cowards to galaxy's teachers. Bill smiled. We haven't changed. The galaxy just finally saw the truth. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is take your time and be careful. The ship's engines hummed as they prepared to leave, running through their usual safety checks. They were still the same cautious humans they'd always been. But now, thanks to an ancient guardian's wisdom, the galaxy understood why that was exactly what it needed.